I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And we're talking about a lot of light this week, because tomorrow there is a full moon at 19 degrees of Capricorn. And that is why the title of tonight's show is Keep Your Guard Up. And the reason why you might want to keep your guard up in the next week and be a little bit cautious, just the way a Capricorn would be, is because all 10 planets are receiving some sort of harsh aspect from other planets this week. Last week there were only 9 planets doing that. Now all 10 of them are. And on top of that, under this full moon tomorrow at 19 degrees of Capricorn, there are 2 retrograde planets already. Neptune has just gone retrograde in Aries, and Pluto is already retrograde in Aquarius. But by the end of the month, there will be 4 retrograde planets, because Saturn will then go retrograde by the end of the month, and so will Mercury in Leo. And when planets go retrograde, things slow down, because they're going back on their orbit, and they're checking whatever they missed the last time they were there, and collecting more information so that when they go direct, the real truth about things will come out and you can make better decisions. So keeping your guard up right now is a good idea, because you might be feeling as if you're taking 2 steps forward but 1 backward. And that is because, to begin with, there are 5 planets. Half of all the planets right now under tomorrow's full moon in a Capricorn are in a harsh T-cross. And Capricorn is a cardinal sign, and we know under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun, leading to indecision or confusion. So right off the bat, we're going to be looking at that. But on top of that, that full moon in Capricorn is opposing the sun and an exalted Jupiter in Cancer. And these 3 planets are all squaring that Neptune, which is now retrograde in Aries, and they're also squaring Saturn, which is retrograde in Aries. And since Aries rules new beginnings, this is a time when a new beginning may not get off the ground the way you thought it would. And one reason for that is that there can be some people around under these 5 planets that are not getting along with each other. There can be some people around that may want to delay your progress. They could do it because they're competitors. And so competitors could actually set up roadblocks to your success right now. And what kind of success would it be? Well, it would be the kind that Capricorn rules. And so Capricorn rules your 10th house of career, your public reputation in the community, and it rules rewards you earn the hard way over a long period of time, such as your pension plan or awards that you accrue during your or recognition that you accrue during your career. And so there can be some competitors around that would like to, throw a monkey wrench possibly in the things that Capricorn rules right now, because that full moon is coming under some pretty heavy attack from other planets in cardinal signs as well. And then there are 3 planets that are in the mutable signs, and they're all squaring each other. And a squaring aspect occurs because planets are challenging each other. They're sort of coming up against each other. It's not a separating aspect the way the full moon and the planets in Cancer are, leading to indecision or confusion. In other words, it can be somewhat combative. And that is because today Venus is in Gemini. It's a mutable sign, ruling short-term things, easy friendships, easy transitional change, communication, all forms of communication, and it rules youth. And so Uranus is now in Gemini at 0 degrees, and it is conjuncting Venus, which is at 6 degrees of Gemini today. But unfortunately, both of these planets are being squared by Mars in Virgo at 13 degrees. So that's a fairly close square. But the real trouble is because Mars is a planet that rules war and aggression, jealousy, hate, and greed. And it is squaring another malefic planet, Uranus, which is known for rebellion, sudden surprising change, volatility. In other words, you don't know what somebody's going to do or where they're coming from. And so these two malefic planets, both of which denote a certain amount of speed and surprise, are squaring each other right now. And that simply means that if you are thinking that some easy form of communication or an easy transitional change that you want to make, or even from one neighborhood to another, because Gemini rules neighborhoods, but it also rules buying and selling and marketing and promotions of some sort. And it can be, since Mars is squaring Venus and Uranus in Gemini, and these three planets that are in harsh aspect to each other are also squaring and opposing the other two mutable signs of Sagittarius and Pisces. And so you need to be a little bit careful. That's why I'm saying let's all keep our guard up this week. Because it can be that there can be some people around right now who may think of themselves as competitors, but they may just be people who are uncertain or insecure or wanting to stop your new beginning or stop your good ideas from coming to fruition because they themselves would like to sort of thwart your success. And so they want to argue about small details so that they can stop you from moving forward in even some sort of short-term project that you want to complete. So that could be a little hard on you. And it would be particularly hard on new ideas that young people have, because somebody else could want to come along and pick at small details in order to thwart their progress and stop them. Well, that's not too nice, is it? And it would be deliberate. And so then we have two more planets that are opposing each other in the fixed signs. And that's the whole 10 planets now that I've been discussing. And it is Mercury, which is in Leo, a fixed sign, ruling gambling and children and love affairs and sports and the entertainment world. And Mercury is the planet of the mind. And it is opposing, or being opposed, by Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius, the sign of the future. Since these two planets are opposing each other, that can indicate a separation. And what it can also indicate is that there can be some serious question now about choices that people make for leadership roles. In other words, since Leo rules leadership, either some people have taken a gamble and they've lost, but they have some sort of position, and they either want to hold on to it or they want a higher position, whereas other people who are perhaps better qualified for the future, remember Pluto is in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future, and Pluto rules management, upper management in large corporations, institutions, and government agencies. And since it's retrograde, it means people are looking for new leaders. And it can be that there are other people that are saying, well, I've always done such and such, so I should have the promotion or I should have a better job. When actually, if the goals of the organization have changed, that doesn't amount to much. It doesn't qualify you for something new if all you have on your record is something that you've done in the past that the organization is no longer as interested in or that they can't afford. And so that is why there can be a question about who is a qualified leader. So I have a little hint for you this week. And the hint is, before you believe anything people are telling you this week, it would be wise of you to examine their motivation for what they're saying or doing. In other words, ask yourself, well, what's behind this? What do they really mean? What are they really trying to do? Because Capricorn, which does rule your 10th house of career and your public reputation and your long-term rewards, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of time. Capricorns do not like to skip steps. They like to progress in a way where every step they take is well done or thoroughly done. And they'll be happy to take their time to do that. Capricorn rules bureaucracy. And so it rules administrative work. And so people in a large bureaucracy who are in an administrative position and have succeeded in going ahead and making sure that every step that is associated with their job has been performed credibly, These are the people that leaders can be looking for now, who know what they're doing but can adapt to new requirements, new leadership requirements. And so it doesn't come by being the flashy person, or the one that's got the quick answers, or the one that's going to try to influence you or even bribe you or compete with you or thwart your good ideas in one reason or one way or another, simply to promote themselves instead or to stop you. And so that could be happening. And what I hope is that you question whoever's coming at you and trying to stop you from doing something right now, particularly if you believe in yourself and in your good idea and you've got the credentials to go forward. I would suggest you give that a try. But on the other hand, you need to ask what these people are wanting from you and why. And I would take a little bit more time and try to get to the bottom of where they're coming from first before you agree to anything. Okay, so that means you've got to keep your guard up. And so what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, you, Aries, can be going through a little period of time of re-examination of things. And that is because Neptune, which does rule dreams and aspirations and hopes and wishes, is in your sign, but it has now gone retrograde. It's headed back into Pisces. It's not there yet, but it'll get there, and it'll stay there for a little bit longer before it finally heads into your sign and stays for years. And so it's going backwards right now, Aries, which means you may want to re-examine some new beginning that you have wanted to do. You better look at that a little bit more closely, because Saturn is about to go retrograde by the end of the month, and it also is in your sign. And so you may have to re-examine something, or before you start something new, you might want to look a little bit more carefully at the cost and the different steps. Look and see if you're really ready to start a new beginning. And for sure, it should not be with the same old people. You better ask yourself where you want to go and how long it's going to take you to get there, Aries, and what changes you need to make, and also what kind of competition you have. Because your sign is part of a very harsh T-cross of planets in 5 planets in the cardinal signs today, and so the moon in Capricorn is squaring your sun, and the sun and Jupiter, an exalted Jupiter in Cancer, are also squaring your sun, and one of the planets in your sign has gone retrograde. The other one will be retrograde by the end of the month. You're going to have to redo something, Aries, or you're going to have to go back a little bit to square one and look things over again. Nothing wrong with that. Aries is a very fast-acting fire sign, though. They like to be out there and be first. And I think it would actually be to your advantage if you stepped back a little bit, kept your guard up, and just took a look at what you were doing or what you were planning. And also, I'd take a closer look at who you're planning to do that with. Make sure that everybody's on the same page you are, Aries. They may not be. And you may have changed your mind as well. And so this is a good period of time, not only to keep your guard up, but to re-examine your ideas, or if you're on a schedule, you need to maybe revamp a schedule of yours, revise it in some way. You're going to have to go back and redo something, Aries. And I think that that'll be all right. I mean, you don't have to be in a rush about that, because there's going to be 4 retrograde planets by the end of the month. Everybody's going to have to do that. But I would say that before you take one more step forward, you'd better ask what other people are doing around you. And also, you need to re-examine your wonderful enthusiasm and ask yourself if you've really got all your bases covered and how long that will take. Because yours is not a finishing sign. You're great at new starts, but not at finishing things. And right now, a sign that does have a lot to do with finishing things is Capricorn, and that's where the full moon tomorrow will be squaring your sun, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when you may be looking around and saying, oh, what happened? Nothing's going on. Well, it's because finally you don't have any planets in your sign, Taurus. That's taken a while. Uranus has been in your sign for 6 years. It has now moved into Gemini, where it's at 0 degrees, and it's conjuncting your ruler, Venus, at 6 degrees. And they are being trine by Pluto in Aquarius. Now that Pluto in Aquarius is squaring your sun, and that's where it's going to stay for many, many years, 15 or 17 years to come. And that means that management, upper management in large corporations that now have their mind a lot more on the future and not on the status quo, you know, they're sort of looking into tomorrow, they could be in a little bit of disagreement, Taurus, about your qualifications for new leadership. And the reason why is that Mercury is in Leo, also squaring your sun. And remember, you're for once your planet, your sign doesn't have any planets in it. So Mercury is squaring your sun. And Mercury is about to go retrograde by the end of the month, and it's in Leo, which does rule leadership. So some people are going to be changing their minds about what they're looking for in people for new leadership roles. And they may certainly value the talent that you have, but they may not be needing that according to their new future goals. At the same time, Mars is in Virgo, and it is trining your sun. And since your sign doesn't have anything in it, and the moon in Capricorn is also trining your sun, if you were to go back and attend to something else that is either a business or a retirement matter, and sort of look that over again, or look over the terms of something that are related to your career, that's the moon trining your sun. Or you might want to be looking at something that has to do with healthcare costs. And it would be increased healthcare costs, and you know, you might be asking yourself, how are you going to pay for that? And so you might want to redo your budget, Taurus, and think carefully about accruing any increased costs in the future. I wouldn't do that right now because planets are going retrograde, and also yours is a fixed sign. There are already 2 planets in fixed signs, and they both square your sun. Now, one of them denotes new leadership in the future, and the other denotes people who are thinking an awful lot about things that don't have much to do with a career. Leo rules, it does rule leadership, but it rules children and love affairs and sports and gambling and parties and having a good time. And that may, if you love all that, Taurus, it still may not qualify you for a future leadership position at this time, even though that would have been an asset for your career before. It won't be now, because leaders have actually changed their goals. And Pluto's going to be squaring your sun for years. So if I were you, I would carefully watch the budget and anticipate increased costs, particularly in health care. And you'd want to have that base covered pretty well. That would be, if you're thinking about buying something right now, I would say make sure you've got all of your health care needs taken care of first before you spend a dime on anything else, Taurus. Just be careful about that now. Okay? All right. What does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, lucky you. You have the 2 love planets. Uranus, which rules platonic love and sort of love of doing things, and not love of each other, but I was thinking today about all of the hundreds of people that run in the Boston Marathon, and they come from all over the world, and they run this grueling race. And you know, you got to ask, what's their motivation? What drives them to do that? Simply that they love it. And everybody from all over the world that participates in that Boston Marathon every year, they are all sharing Uranian love. They just love what they're doing, but they don't love each other. They're actually competing against each other. So Gemini, you're in this enviable position right now of having Uranus, which rules platonic love, conjuncting Venus in your sign. Uranus is at 0 degrees of Gemini, and Venus is at 6 degrees today. And they are conjuncting, and Venus rules touching love or partnership love, and things that have to do with legal contracts, things like that. And so, you know, like commitment of some sort. That's a different kind of love. So you're sort of lucky that you have both of those in your sign, Gemini. And they are being trined by Pluto in Aquarius right now. So your sign has backup. your sign is going to have the backup of Pluto trining it for years to come. And that indicates that if you have new ideas, even if picky people are trying to stop you in one way or another, or put you down, or thwart you, and this could be young people, young Geminis as well, because Gemini rules youth, or people that are young at heart, you've got to sort of keep people away and keep your guard up against people who may be very picky and trying to engulf you in matters that are small, picky matters in order to stop your success. They could do it. And that is because Mars is in Virgo, squaring that Uranus in your sign, and these are two malefic planets. And so if you got into an intense conversation with somebody that just wants to take up your time a lot, you need to excuse yourself, Gemini, and just get out of there. You do not need to waste your time on people that are trying to stop you. You need to get around people that would be good partners, or people who enjoy doing what you want to do. Join a new group that doesn't have that kind of motivation, and stick with them, Gemini. Because there will be 4 retrograde planets by the end of this month, and a lot of people are going to have to go back and sort of re-examine their leadership choices. Perhaps not everybody is as well qualified for new goals as they may have been for old goals. And so that's too bad, but that's the way it is. And so we need to look over our choices a lot more carefully, and that's why we need to keep our guard up. And that's what you need to do, Gemini. And Geminis are so versatile and adaptable, and they like to do 2 things all the time. They're really good at that. But just make sure that they're both worthwhile, or that they're both done with worthwhile people, not people who are motivated by greed or jealousy or are vindictive and want to stop you in one way or another. That's why it's a good idea to ask yourself before you agree to anything, where are they coming from? What's their motivation? And you need to look for that, Gemini. Don't be in such a hurry that you mistake something that somebody is telling you for a genuine effort. It might be genuine on their part, but it might be meant to delay you, not to help you. And so you need to be a little bit more discriminating right now. And so I hope you are. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. This is a time, Cancer, when, since your sign is a cardinal sign, and tomorrow that full moon in Capricorn, and the moon's your own ruler, Cancer, is opposing the Sun and an exalted Jupiter in your sign, and these 3 planets are all squaring 2 more planets, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and they are squaring your Sun as well as the full moon in Capricorn tomorrow. So since your own ruler, the moon, is in a sign ruled by Saturn, which is what Capricorn is, and it rules your 10th house of career and your standing, your public reputation, and your standing in the community, and it rules what honors or accolades you have earned the hard way by doing a lot of hard work and being very genuine in your feelings. Your sign rules feelings, Cancer, and so you have to sort of take a look at how you really feel about something right now, because feelings are ruled by your sign, and you got Jupiter there. So you can examine all of your feelings right now, Cancer, if you want to, and I would do that if I were you. There aren't any planets in the other water signs, so this is a good time for you to do that. And you could be taking a look at what your real genuine feelings are right now, and you might be contrasting them with what your career aspirations are, because Capricorn rules the 10th house of the career, but your sign rules home and family and feelings and good cooking. And so you're going to have to, you may be undecided, or there could be a little bit of confusion going on, and it might not be because you don't know how you feel. I think with Jupiter in your sign, you really do know how you feel, and that it's genuine. In fact, you could be even feeling better now about your true feelings. But there can be other people that would be wanting to stop you, almost stop you from being happy right now. Cancer. Now, are they going to be able to succeed? Well, there are 5 planets in cardinal signs. I mean, Saturn and Neptune are squaring your sun as well. Neptune is retrograde right now in Aries, and Saturn will be retrograde by the end of the month. You will have to think over a new start. And the reason why is it might be something that you had been planning on and wanting to do, and what you have to ask yourself is it with the right people? Or when you're listening to people that you have contact with, are they sincere? Do they want your happiness? Or are they going to say whatever they have to in order to get what they want out of you, and which would further their career? That isn't exactly where you're coming from. You're still coming from your real feelings, Cancer. But other people can be ambitious right now and want to further their careers, and they wouldn't mind using you to do it, or superseding your authority and going beyond you. So that's what I mean by being very ambitious. And how many of those people do you want in your life, Cancer? They don't fit. They don't fit where a Cancer's coming from. A Cancer is coming from their feelings and their hearts and simple things. And people who are very ambitious and want to further their career and want to be in the public eye all the time, they'll do just about anything to achieve that. That isn't really where a Cancer is coming from. And so keep your guard up this week, Cancer. Ask yourself if you're sort of going around with the right crowd. You may not be. Because do they really share your same feelings? Or are they really ambitious? Mars, remember, is in Virgo. It is trining that full moon in Capricorn. And so there can be people that can be even a little bit ruthless about trying to get what they want right now. And Cancers are real nice people. They get along with just about everybody in their own quiet way. And they don't like to stir the pot too much. They sort of like to go along calmly. But somebody could be trying to stir your emotions. And I would not let that happen if I were you, Cancer. Only once every 12 years would you have an exalted Jupiter in your sign. Keep your eyes on your own values. And they could be values you learned when you were younger. And if your values that you were raised with don't quite match the values of other people who are overly ambitious and want to get ahead and use you to do it, well then what are you doing with them? They're not your type. They're not headed in the direction you're headed. Cancers like being home. And that's okay. And Cancer rules America, and it rules Ukraine, and it rules Canada, and it rules family. And this is just a time, Cancer, when it's better for you to even think about staying home by yourself. You know, stick to what makes you a good person. And don't listen to anybody who doesn't measure up to that, because they're not your type. And just leave them alone. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when Mercury is in your sign, and your sign is a fixed sign, so it's being opposed by another planet in a fixed sign, Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius, and that rules the future. Well, this Pluto always represents leaders that are pretty high up in management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions. And because Pluto has never been in Aquarius in our recorded lifetime, it's a real slow mover, and it was only discovered in 1930. And so it hasn't even been around a chart once. So we don't know how it's going to act in Aquarius, but we know what Aquarius rules. It does rule the future. And it rules new things. And it rules invention and experimentation, and it rules the whole high-tech field, and it rules music, and it rules space. And those things are going to, management is looking for new people who can head in that direction. And Leos like to be the leader, the captain of the team. It rules sports. And they also like to have a good time. It rules parties. And it rules horse racing. It rules betting and gambling. And these people that are trying to go into the future in inventive new ways, they can't afford to take a gamble. And so they have to be real careful about choosing people who have new leadership abilities to fit their new goals. And it isn't going to be you, Leo. It's not going to be you. They don't want to do things the same old way because they can't afford it. And money enters into the equation because Taurus squares your sign, and so does Scorpio, and those are the two fixed financial signs. And Uranus isn't going to stay in Gemini. It's going to go back into Taurus for another whole year and square your sun. And so you should really concentrate on, not on gambling at all right now, Leo, but on trying to be as practical as you can about your needs and about how you want to provide for others. Leo rules extravagance. So since Mercury is in your sun sign, you could be thinking of extravagant things that you'd like to spend your money on. This is not the time to do that, Leo. And the reason why is that Mars is right ahead of your sun sign in Virgo. It does sextile your sun, but it's Mars. Okay? And that Mars is squaring Uranus in Gemini. And Uranus sextiles your sun too. You'd almost think that, well, you could get ahead by acting fast, or you could get ahead by wanting to have your own way. And even if it took discussing tiny little picky points that other people sort of want to move beyond, you could try to hold them back or hold them down by discussing those things. Mercury is a planet of communication. And in other words, Leo, this is not a very good time for you to do what they call getting lost in the weeds. It's not a very good time for you to bring up small facts and details about anything. And the reason why is that you still have Saturn and Neptune in Aries trining your sun. Your sign has backup. It's just that that backup is turning around and going retrograde. Neptune just went retrograde, but it trines your sun, meaning you'll have to reevaluate some sort of dream that you have or wish that you've had. There's going to be a delay in a new beginning in one way or another. You might be glad about that because maybe over time you will realize it was the wrong new beginning. And you might have saved yourself a few headaches by looking that over again. And then Saturn is going to be retrograde in Aries by the end of the month, and you will definitely have to redo some sort of business plan or legal obligations that have to do with business or career. And since the full moon is in Capricorn tomorrow, this is a good time for you to be thinking about where are you going next in your career? How much is it going to cost? And is it just doing the same old thing, or are you wanting to go in a new direction? And are you sure it's the right direction right now? You're going to have time by the end of the month when the two planets in Aries are retrograde, but still trining your sun. You're going to have time to look over your choices again. You may find out that you are not as happy with your former choices as you used to be, and you may want to make new choices eventually. So you can think about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, Mars is still in your sign, and it is being squared by another malefic planet and a very volatile, unexpected, a speedy one, and that is Uranus. So Uranus is now at 0 of Gemini, and it is squaring Mars in your sign at 13 degrees today, and Venus is also squaring your sun in Gemini. It's at 6 degrees. Those are fairly close squares. And so that's an indication that, Virgo, you could be sort of wanting to, first of all, you could be worried about your physical health. And Virgo rules the whole central nervous system, and it rules accounting and details and being very thorough in the bookwork. And so you can be concentrating on small details either that have to do with your health or your health insurance or somebody else's health or somebody else's. Virgo rules banking as well, some sort of banking problems. And I would say that it's a little bit of a case of overkill, Virgo. You could be concentrating so much on small details that you would completely miss the big picture right now. Well, what good is that going to do you? If anything, you need to concentrate a little bit more on the big picture concerning your career or your public reputation or the rewards that you've earned over a long period of time, and that would include your retirement. And that's because the moon in full moon in Capricorn tomorrow will be trining that Mars. Okay? So instead of pointing out picky little points to other people that can only irritate them, why don't you take a look at some big things that you've been planning on or thinking about for a long time. And I would say, Virgo, that this is a better time for you to go over the books, your books, and ask yourself where you are in your career and how much longer it's going to take you to achieve some career goals. If it's going to take you too long, maybe you're going to want to change your goals or change your schedule a little bit. Who knows? It would pay you to be a little bit more flexible right now, but that could be very hard to do since Mars is in your sign and Uranus is in the sign of flexibility, Gemini, and it's squaring that Mars. You know, if you're perfectly happy with what you're doing, Virgo, then you need to watch out for other people that can be competitive and want to stop you on something or pick apart a plan or details and sort of consume your attention. They could want to get your attention. And so if you're having to pay attention to them, that delays you and your own progress, doesn't it? Because you won't have time to be spending on what you want to do. If you're always having to tend to nitpicky little things that other people are bringing up. Oh, you need to cut that out and just concentrate on the larger questions of where you are in your career or what your public reputation is right now or what the rewards are that you're in your pension plan or your retirement things. Those are broad objectives, but you, since the moon in Capricorn will be trining your sun tomorrow where you have Mars, that's a better place to put your attention than on picky people that are trying to stop you from something. You see, we have to keep our guard up because we need to first ask ourselves, well, where's this person really coming from? What do they want from me? You know, don't believe everything you hear these days, Virgo. There could be people with ulterior motives. They're going to say whatever they think you want to hear. But there could be a little trickery going on behind that. And if I were you, I wouldn't pay attention to that at all. Keep your eyes on what you've been focusing on for a long time and just take the long view right now. It would pay you to do that because the moon in Capricorn is trining your sun. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think that, you know, all you have to do is get up in the morning and look good, Libra. You don't have to do much else. And the reason why is, yes, you got to keep your guard up just like everybody else. But, oh, you have Uranus and Venus, both love planets in Gemini trining your sun. That means you can be much more popular than you realize, Libra. You need to get out among people. You'd be astounded by how happy they are to see you and how they want to be around you. That would be nice. And besides, that's a conjunction that isn't going to last too long. You should take advantage of it. And then Pluto in Aquarius is also trining your sun. It is retrograde, meaning that people who want to have their eyes on the future and do new things are needing new management. They're needing new leaders, not the same old leaders. And they're needing ones that really are well qualified. That is actually what that full moon in Capricorn is emphasizing tomorrow. You know, Capricorn rules our 10th house of career, and what we have done, our public reputation, and the honors that or awards that we have earned. And so it rules tangible results. It doesn't rule somebody coming in and bragging and saying, well, I've done this and I've done that. When actually, if you start digging a little bit deeper, you find out that they didn't do the job, somebody else did, and they took credit for it. Which means that they're not worth much. Not if you have to pay them, because they don't really have the experience. They just maybe had the title, or they had the attention of somebody, or they were in the right place at the right time. That is not what Capricorn represents. Capricorn represents steady effort and letting it slowly accrue over time and earning awards the hard way and having the proof of it. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with bragging. In fact, Capricorns are a little bit quiet about their accomplishments. You know, their ruler is Saturn. Well, Saturn's not a jolly planet. They call Saturn the taskmaster because it requires that you do things and get them right and follow every single step. Or else, if you get it wrong, you have to go back to square one and start all over again and do it right. Well, so that's what that full moon is really about. And I think that that is something that if you have the qualifications and you have the track record and you can prove what your accomplishments are, then even though the moon in Capricorn is squaring your sun, Libra, you have enough other good planets, the 2 in Gemini trining your sun and Pluto in Aquarius also trining your sun. If you decided to make new friends, or if you were going to go in a new direction and take your good reputation with you, you might be surprised at the number of people that are welcoming you with open arms. They may have been looking for you, Libra, for a rather long time. But also they may have been looking for you because they need new people. And one thing that Libra just does naturally, I don't know how they do this, but they're so good at it, they get along with everybody. They even get along with people they don't like. Because they're not, you know, they could think a hard thought, but it doesn't come out of their mouth. Libras are not only just charming, but there's a lot more to that. Libras actually work at trying to get along with people. Your sign rules peace. You don't like fighting. And so even when you're around people you don't like, you're polite to them and nice. You might not stay with them because you might not like them, but you're still nice to them. And Libra, that takes a certain amount of finesse after a while. And if you are a Libra that's been around for a while, you would have honed that talent to perfection. And you may not give yourself credit for it, but with these planets in air signs trining your sign, other people are going to give you a lot of credit for that. So you need to get out among them, Libra. You are what some people are looking for. And it isn't that they're so good at what you do. That's why they want you to join their team. Because they know they're not quite as good and getting along with others as you are. And you know, you always need somebody like that in an organization that just is pretty even-tempered and gets along with a lot of people and doesn't really come out and express their opinions too stridently. And Libra is excellent at that, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when there are 2 planets in fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign, that are squaring your sun. And that is Pluto, your own ruler in Aquarius, which is retrograde, and it is squaring your sun. Pluto's going to be squaring your sun for 15 to 17 years. You'll have to get used to the fact that you're going to have to work with other people who also have a lot of authority, or who also have their minds on upper management positions. And you'll just have to understand, when they have their eyes on the future, if you also have your eyes on the future, you're going to get along fine with them. If they have their eyes on the future and you don't, then that is going to represent a sort of a roadblock for you, and you'll have to learn to go around them in some way, or else change your own ambitions to more carefully match theirs. And you might want to do that too. There may be good money in that. But at the same time, Mercury is in Leo right now. It's about to go retrograde. And remember, Pluto is already retrograde, and it squares your sun. And so it simply means that if you know anybody that's been taking a gamble or involved in love affairs or children's affairs or sports or the entertainment world or something like that, these people could want to do things their way. Leo rules leadership. And you may be wondering where they're going to get the money. And of course, they may think that you're going to give them the money, Scorpio, and that is not where you're coming from right now. There is some pressure that is finally off you. And it's been on you for years. And that is because there have been planets in Taurus for the last 6 years forever opposing your sun sign. And now, for the first time in years, there's nothing in Taurus. And there's nothing opposing your sun sign, Scorpio. You ought to be breathing a big sigh of relief that that is occurring. Because in a way it won't last. Uranus is in Gemini, and it's going to stay there for a few months, but it's going to come back into Taurus for one more year. So you're going to have sort of a repeat of some financial problems. Perhaps not right now, but they would be coming up a little bit later on in the year. However, you're really, really lucky that there's nothing in Taurus right now. And that is because there's also nothing in your sign. And so if people are wanting to argue with you about money, since these are the two fixed financial signs, I would just duck out, Scorpio. You don't need to argue with anybody about money right now. There's nothing in the money signs. And there's nothing opposing your sign. There's things squaring your sign, but not opposing it. And so I think that this is a very good time for you to take advantage, Scorpio, of the fact that the full moon in Capricorn tomorrow is sextiling your sun. So yes, you could have your eyes on your career or your public reputation or the awards you've won the hard way over a long period of time. That would be somewhat harmonious. You might be pretty happy with that. And then the sun and an exalted Jupiter in Cancer are trining your sun at the same time. And so the lights are opposing each other, but they're favoring your sign, Scorpio. And there's nothing in Taurus for the first time in years to oppose your sun sign. And so lucky you, Scorpio. I think that you are going to be able to go forward right now. Just remember, this is a time when people need to keep their guard up, including you, Scorpio. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. There's an old saying from the Boy Scouts. And the first thing that a Boy Scout learns is to be prepared. And so if all you did was decide this week that you were going to be prepared for whatever you wanted to do in the future that involved a home or a family matter or a move or sort of going back to values that you learned when you were a child, that your parents taught you, you would do very well with that. For the whole year, while Jupiter is in Cancer trining your sun, you would do extremely well with that. And so what does Cancer rule? Simple things. It rules our feelings and our homes. And if you were going to head home, Scorpio, and even if you needed to remodel it or redecorate it or whatever, and eventually, add to your family in one way or another if you wanted to, or just be at home, you would be tremendously happy right now. And your career would not suffer at all. It might improve, actually. So give that a thought. This is a good full moon for you. But it's even better that the sun and Jupiter in Cancer are trining your sun. And that there's no opposition to your sun sign for the first time in years. Nothing in Taurus. So you're finally going to be able to make some progress that you want to make, Scorpio. And it's been a long time coming, but you could do it. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when there are planets in fire signs, and they do trine your sign, and the full moon in Capricorn tomorrow is right ahead of your sun sign. So you could be looking pretty closely at your career right now, Sagittarius. And I don't know if it's at the start or the middle point or the ending of it, because Capricorn also rules retirement, and it rules things, your public reputation and things you earned the hard way over a long period of time. Those would be favorable. You could look at all of that and be sort of proud. So if you're sort of looking at what you've done up to this point in your life, Sagittarius, you could be looking at things that you are proud of. That maybe you were happy doing them, or maybe there's some plans in the future that you're thinking about, a new beginning that you're thinking about, and that could work out really well for you now too, because Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, trining your sun. Neptune has gone retrograde, Saturn is about to go retrograde, and yet they're still trining your sun. And Mercury in Leo is also trining your sun. It's under a lot of duress because it's in a fixed sign. And so, since it is opposing Pluto in Aquarius, which is actually sextiling your sun, so you don't need to worry about that planet, Sagittarius, but Mercury is squaring your sun, and that's an indication that somebody who wants to be the leader, wants to be the boss, wants to have everything their own way, is not in agreement with you, Sagittarius. And I think the reason why is that you're thinking a little bit more seriously about things these days. And I don't think that you're willing to put up with what you might call frills, or a lifestyle that doesn't fit your values as closely as it should. So there may be a parting of the ways, because Uranus, a malefic planet, and Venus are in Gemini, and they are opposing your sun sign. And Mars in Virgo is squaring your sun sign. You may have a little bit of a health problem right now, Sagittarius, and I think that you would be wise to attend to that before it gets worse. Because if it gets worse, it's going to cost you more. And Capricorn rules frugality. It rules being real careful with your money and not spending it on too much that isn't worth it. And Capricorns are very good at finding value in things. And you need to start doing that too, Sagittarius. Even though yours is a fire sign and you like to travel and you're high-minded and you have good values, still I try to work a little bit more closely on current problems. And with Mars and Virgo squaring your sun, it can be that you have a health problem. Even if you think it's a small one, it's not going to stay that way if you don't get rid of it. It'll grow. Well, then that's only going to cost you money, Sagittarius. Don't do that. Do what you can to get rid of a health problem right now before it gets worse. Because with Mars squaring your sun, it is aspected to get worse. And so you need to sort of, it's summertime anyway, take the load off and try to improve your health this summer, Sagittarius. You'll be glad you did, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, the full moon tomorrow is in your sign. Congratulations. However, it is being sorely squared by other planets in the cardinal signs. So you are facing some challenges, and it's you, Capricorn, that really needs to keep your guard up right now, because the Sun and Jupiter in Cancer are opposing your sun sign, and an opposition usually represents separations. So there could be a real estate matter or a family matter that you are wanting to change in some way, or I think you might sort of be wanting to get rid of it in some way, one way or another. And so if it had something to do with the sale of a property, it would be a good idea to just sell it. And this would be a good time to do it. And so that might help you a little bit, Capricorn, because the Sun and Jupiter are opposing your sun sign. At the same time, those are two very good planets, and they're in the sign of the home and America and moving, and you may be thinking about moving, and that would require the sale of one property perhaps, and then moving to another. It could be done, and maybe this is a better time to be thinking about that. I don't know if you're actually going to do that, Capricorn, but you could think about that. The one thing that would be to your advantage right now is that Mars in Virgo is trining your sun. And there are no planets in Taurus for the first time in years, because Uranus has moved out of Taurus finally. And so whatever money you've got right now, Capricorn, it's yours. But you need to be real careful about what you're doing with it right now. You really need to watch just your own budget. And the fact that Mars is in Virgo and it's trining your sun means that you might be facing higher costs in healthcare in one way or another. Maybe your healthcare insurance premiums are going to go up. If they do, Capricorn, you should quickly pay for that. And that's because Mars is trining your sun. And that simply means that, okay, if your health insurance is now going to cost you more, just think of that you've got it covered in the future, okay? And you're going to live a long time, Capricorn. And you've got to make sure that you're in the best health you can be, and that you've got the insurance that can keep you that way. And that's because you're still on a long road, Capricorn. Capricorns live to be 100. They just do that. I don't know how, but they do it. Capricorn is a careful sign, and they don't like to skip steps. And they are pretty careful about checking things out ahead of time. This is a very good time for you to do that, Capricorn, because there are 5 planets, and your own ruler, Saturn, and Neptune are squaring your sun, where you have the full moon tomorrow, and then the Sun and Jupiter are opposing your sun. There's going to be other people in your life, Capricorn, that want to do things their way. okay? And is it possible you could go on vacation, Capricorn? Or you could just be too busy doing something to listen to all of that? Because it can be that there are people around who can be competitors that want to stop you from making a new start. And that is because they're competitive. And you know, they're afraid you'll succeed, and they won't. Well, too bad. There is a dear friend of mine who always said, too bad, so sad. It's like, let them worry about their own problems. What you need to do, Capricorn, is keep the focus on yourself and on what your needs are and your long-term plans. Don't think that just because whatever age you are now has turned out to be good for you. In other words, you might have worked hard. You could be in a financial position where you can afford things. Do not think that that's the end of your story, particularly not your life story, Capricorn. You have a lot longer to go, and you know, more things to do. You know, Capricorns are not too good at sitting in a rocking chair for the rest of their life. They're just not. The ruler of your sign is Saturn, and it rules work, and it rules slow, steady efforts. They don't have to be a flashy thing. Capricorns don't like flashy things. They like solid things. And Capricorn rules antiques. They do like things that are, you know, not flashy and gaudy and new, but things that have a story behind them, or things that have value to them, or things that belong to people in the past that they are fond of. And so if you just settle down a little bit more to what you like right now, Capricorn, under this full moon in your sign tomorrow, I would think that's enough for you. And tune out everybody else. And just enjoy the road you've been on for a long time. And take a look at your accomplishments. Don't take a look at what you didn't do. Take a look at what you have done. There's a lot there. And appreciate yourself for that. You've earned it. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when that full moon in Capricorn is right behind your sun sign, so there's a lot of light in the background of your life, Aquarius, and it's focused on business matters or career matters or long-term goals or your public reputation or what you want to do or what you have done in the past. And so that's fine. You can look at that because there's a lot of light in the background of your life, Aquarius, but Pluto is in your sign. It's being opposed by Mercury in Leo right now, and Pluto's already retrograde, and Mercury will be retrograde by the end of the month. And so you might be changing your idea of what makes a good leader, Aquarius. And since you are going to be going into the future and succeeding at that, beyond your wildest dreams, Aquarius, you're going to succeed. It might take the whole 15 to 17 years when Pluto is in your sign, but that's okay. You've got the time. Your sign rules the future anyway. That is the direction you're going in, Aquarius. But there can be other people that may want to stop you or may want to question your choices for new leadership to follow along with you in your new goals. And I would say you got to tune those people out, Aquarius. They want to hold on to yesterday. That is not where you're going. You're going into the future. Naturally. Aquarians, you know, your own ruler for the first time in 20 years is Uranus, and it is now trining your sun. And you got to look over your life again, Aquarius, because it's certainly going to improve. Now, it won't be in Gemini for too many more months. By the fall, it goes back into Taurus for one more year. And then after that, in 2026, it comes into Gemini, and it trines your sun for 7 years. And those are going to be the happiest 7 years of your life, Aquarius. And right now, Uranus is trining your sun, and it's conjuncting Venus in Gemini. Oh, right out of the blue, you could meet somebody that you'd really love. Or you could be meeting somebody who is younger that has a lot of good ideas. And maybe they're involved in some project that involves youth. And maybe they just need your good ideas to get that project off the ground and get it going. And you could be instrumental in so many different ways in the future, and that future is beginning today, Aquarius. Because Uranus is at 0 degrees of Gemini today, trining your sun, and it's your ruler. A little something that hasn't happened to you in over 20 years. So do not make the mistake of thinking that your life is going to stay the same. It is not. It is going to improve. And as I have been telling you all year, you're going to come home to your own power, because Pluto represents power. And it's the power of deep truth. And it's in your sign. It's not going anywhere. It's just retrograde. But it means that you have to go back and face the deep truth about what your values are right now, and how you're going to take them into the future. And remember, you're going to be going up. You're going to be going sky high. Your sign rules space. You're headed that way, Aquarius. Now's the time to get going on that. Something that's been holding you back for a long, long time. Even if it was still around, it can't hold you back anymore. It's not going to do that anymore. Maybe it's because you are coming into your own power, and your power is greater than anybody else's right now, and it'll continue that way. It doesn't mean you can flaunt it. Aquarius rules the humanitarian, and so I hope that as you go forward in your life, that you help others. You should help humanity in one way or another. They really need it, don't they? So the world needs you, Aquarius. You might not have felt like that in the last 20 years when your ruler wasn't trining your sun, but it is now. And it'll only be doing that for about 3 months. And then for a year it'll go back in Taurus. So you won't have all the money that you need in the next year, but you will starting in 2026. And you got to get ready for that, Aquarius, so I hope you do. All right, what does it mean to a Pisces? Oh, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when you need to get ready for what you might call a giant delay that's going to be over pretty soon. Okay? And the reason why it's a giant delay is because your own ruler, Neptune, was in your sign for 12 years. And it isn't. It is in Aries ahead of your sign. It left your sign. And Neptune has now gone retrograde, and it's coming back in your sign. It won't stay there, but it is coming back into your sign for a little while, Pisces. That is what I mean by the fact that something that didn't work out before, or some delay, or some problem that you didn't fix, or you had an opportunity to do something and you didn't do it the whole time that Neptune was in your sign. I think that as Neptune comes back into your sign, it's retrograde, it's going to leave Aries and come back into your sign. That delay, when something didn't get done right, or it didn't get finished, or it wasn't really what you wanted, that time is going to be over. And you're going to be able to go forward, particularly when Neptune gets back in your sign for the last time, Pisces. But it'll come that way. And Saturn is now retrograde in Aries, and it too is coming back into your sign. Isn't that amazing? They both left, but they're both coming back. And that means that something that hasn't worked out yet, Pisces, that you realize now that you sort of blew it, you should have made it work out when you had the chance, you're going to get a second chance. And really don't blow it now, Pisces, because this is a year when you can set yourself up for more emotional security than you've ever had in your life. Now, how would I know that it's more than you've ever had in your life? You could have had other people loving you in your life. You could have had brothers and sisters or school friends and stuff that you were popular with. So why would it be more love than you've ever had in your life? It is because the Sun and Jupiter in Cancer, and Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, are trining your Sun. And they're going to be, Jupiter will still be, the sun won't, but Jupiter will still be trining your sun when Neptune comes back into your sun sign. That's what I mean. Something that didn't work before, it is going to work. And it will give you more peace, more happiness at home, and more emotional security. That's what the exalted Jupiter in Cancer is really all about. Cancer rules our feelings and our emotions. And Jupiter is there. And you're going to come home to the truth about how you really feel, and you're going to be able to do something about it. Because something that you didn't do before, you're going to get a chance to do again. And it will give you more emotional security. So it might be with somebody new. In other words, you will not be able to go back to the past. And why would you want to? You know, everybody, you know, the sun rises in a different place every day. Every day is a new beginning. And your sign rules limitations, our doubts and our fears. You would have had those in your life, Pisces, for a long time. Long time. And that is perhaps what will be over in this next year, the whole time that Jupiter is in Cancer trining your sun. You know, more happiness and more contentment, I would call it contentment, are coming your way no matter what age you are, Pisces. You could be young, old, or in between, and there's going to be more contentment coming your way. And you must look forward to that. It's good for you. It'll bring you the happiness that you perhaps wanted earlier in your life and didn't get. Even as a child, perhaps you didn't get it. But it would bring that kind of happiness and emotional security to you in the next year. And so, congratulations, Pisces. Don't be afraid of anything anymore. It's just that with this full moon in Capricorn, which does sextile your sun, you still have got to keep your guard up. For people who are trying to be competitive and slow you down, or cancel a new start, or people who just want to pick at things, Mars in Virgo is opposing your sun sign. Watch out for the nitpickers, Pisces. They're really going to be around you. And they want to bring up anything that will stop you or thwart you from concentrating on your own needs. And that's why you have to keep your guard up. Do not listen to those people. You know, what's their motive? Well, it's not nice. Whatever it is, it's prompted on jealousy or being vindictive or being greedy, but it's not good for you. And so stay away from some people, even if they're professing how much they care about you. Where's the proof? That's what that moon in Capricorn tomorrow really wants to know. Where's the proof? Capricorns live on proof, on facts, on tangible results. That's what Saturn rules. And Saturn's coming back in your sign, Pisces. It's retrograde. It's coming retrograde by the end of the month and heading back into your sign. And Neptune's already retrograde. Good luck. Don't be afraid of anything. It's like in the next year, somebody will connect with you that will bring you home to fulfill the needs you've had for a long time that were not fulfilled for one reason or another. And they will be now. Even if you miss them as a child, they'll come back to you. And this time they'll stay there. Congratulations. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sorry that I took too long on the show, but I do want to emphasize that everybody has to keep their guard up. Well, that full moon in Capricorn goes into effect tomorrow, because not everybody that's talking right now or saying what they think you want to hear, not everybody is being completely truthful. So it doesn't hurt to check on things. Check on people's motives before you believe them. Thanks a lot, and thank you very much for the new subscribers. I hope you tell your friends about the show, and I'll see you right back here for Starborn next week. Bye-bye.